Welcome to the French Girl's Guide to Food. We are all about French comfort food, perfect for fall. I'm making Boeuf Bourguignon, but my version is with half of the ingredients and half of the time. Stick around for our Boeuf Bourguignon. So we're going to take all of our stuff over to the stove. It's the only place we need to be for this dish, where I have my Cuisinart Dutch oven waiting for me. Perfect pot for this dish. The walls are really thick coated, heavily lined, and perfect for any French stew. It's really the only pot you'll ever need to use. Okay, let's get started. We've got our extra virgin olive oil. We're going to put in a tablespoon just to coat our pan, because we are going to start by braising our beef. And I have about a half a pound, 3/4 of a pound of beef chuck. Depending on how many people you're serving, you may want to use more or even less. Whatever you decide to do for quantity, just make sure you don't overcrowd the meat. A lot of chefs say the same thing. The only purpose of not overcrowding is to make sure your beef is evenly cooking. So just spread the pieces around, give them each an individual spot on the base of your pan so that they will cook evenly. After a couple of minutes, we can start to rotate these pieces, literally maybe 1-2 minutes on the side. We're not looking to cook these pieces through, because they are going to sit in our stew for a couple of hours and they will cook completely at that point. So all we're looking to do is get the cooking process started with this beef and get a nice brown coating on the outside. So if you have some raw pieces, don't sweat it. So we will take our beef out. Looks like we are not completely cooked through, so we're perfect here. We will take our beef out. We'll leave our temperature on about medium-high heat still, and add my most favorite ingredient of all, bacon. I love bacon. You can use salt pork. If you do, be careful with your other ingredients. Don't add any more salt. Salt pork is too salty. So bacon's really good for this portion. I have about 4 strips, just regular bacon that I've sliced up. So we'll just stir this around, make sure that it doesn't stick to the pan. And we don't really want to burn. We're not looking for a super crispiness. We're just looking to extract some fat and, again, get the cooking process going. So we will take this out at this point. It's been about 2-3 minutes, and add it to our beef, set it aside, and turn our heat off. So we have our vegetables ready. We'll turn our heat back on to medium-high. We'll add our half onion to get started. It's a half of a yellow onion. We've diced that up. And all we're looking for is just a little translucence on the onion. So just a minute or 2, and coat it nicely with the bacon fat and the oil that's already in the pan. And after we do this, we're going to add a carrot and a celery. I think it's about 2 medium carrots and 1 celery stalk that we've diced up. Stir it all together. And we'll also add a medium garlic clove that we have diced as well. Stir this up, and just, again, let the cooking process get started. And we'll put our lid on and let it simmer down for maybe 2-3 minutes. To this now, we will add our next vegetable ingredient, and that's going to be our mushrooms. And I've purchased mushrooms already sliced. They're baby bella mushrooms. Cut corners wherever possible and keep it simple for yourselves, and this is the best way to do that. So we'll just add our mushrooms and we'll allow it to cook down a little bit. We'll actually put the lid on so that it cooks a little bit faster, and maybe about 5 minutes with this lid on and your mushrooms have already cooked down. So we have a nice liquid created from all these flavors, and we're really going to use that to enhance our stew. To this now, then, we are going to add 1 cup of red wine and 3 cups of beef stock. Now your red wine should be something full-bodied, like a Burgundy wine or a Merlot, something that has a lot of body to it. Those are the best kinds of wine. We're also going to add any juices and our beef and bacon as well. And I'm just stirring to combine here. We're not really trying to achieve anything just yet. We just want our flavors to start to mold together. And I have my bouquet garni, which is a bouquet of garnished flavors, and I have a rosemary twig, I have 3 sage leaves, and 2 bay leaves. Other recipes call for different ingredients, but those are my favorite. And you just wrap them up with kitchen twine and add them to your stew, and then later we'll actually take that bouquet out of our stew. So we're going to let our Boeuf Bourguignon simmer for about 2 hours over a low heat. If feel free to use this time to your advantage. Get some work done, play with the kids, finish up the laundry. This is a great standalone dish that you can just let simmer. But keep an eye on it to make sure it doesn't burn, the temperature is not too high. If you do need to leave the house and you have a crock pot, feel free to put this on a low temperature for about 4 hours and you'll achieve the same results. Now we do have a couple last minute ingredients to include in this dish once we've passed our 2-hour mark. So stick around and I'll show you how to do that. Here it is. Our liquid has cooked down quite a bit and you can actually tell by this line right here. This is where our liquid used to be. So the alcohol and the stock is really evaporated and really combined nicely with our other ingredients. So with this, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, and I'm using cornstarch for our gluten-free friends, but you can use regular all-purpose flour, that's fine. And just using a wire whisk, I'm going to blend it in, avoiding as many lumps as possible in my flour, or cornstarch of course. And this really is just a binding agent. It's really going to allow the sauce to thicken slightly and just combine everything completely. And I'm going to let this simmer for another 30 minutes so that it really does come together completely. And before I do that, I'm going to make sure I take out my bouquet de garni, and I have lost the needles of my rosemary into the dish, and I actually like that. But if you don't, you can use thyme instead of rosemary, and the thyme will pretty much come out intact. So while we're doing our last 30 minutes on our stew, we're going to prepare our bed for the dish. And I'm adding a teaspoon of salt and pepper blend to water I'm going to set to boil. And to this I'm going to add regular baking potatoes that I've cubed up into larger chunks. I'm going to allow my potatoes to cook thoroughly, but not so much that they start to flake and fall apart. We just want these guys to be soft. So it's been about 30 minutes at this point. I'm just going to strain my potatoes. And another option for you, if you don't want to do potatoes, you can use a nice whole wheat pasta. That's actually a really good choice, but I would try to stay away from rice. Not a good option. So we will plate our potatoes as our bed, or pasta if you choose pasta. Ladle our stew over our potatoes. Oh my gosh, this smells so good. I'm so excited to eat this. This looks amazing. I'm just going to make it a nice hearty portion, add a little bit of sauce, and we are going to be ready to eat this. So here you have our Boeuf Bourguignon, really super easy dish, and if you need that one dish to impress your family and friends, or even at your next dinner party, this is the dish to try. Leave me your questions, your comments, or send me a message on Twitter at French Girl Guide. I look forward to hearing from all of you, and I can't wait to eat this. See you next time on the French Girl's Guide to Food. À votre santé.